Okay, I love it. Hey, man, thank you so much for taking a minute out for the show today. I appreciate it.
No doubt. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Let's begin our journey into your good work by asking you this. 5 years ago, this pandemic was completely rearranging everything in our lives. How did you survive the 2020 pandemic, and how has it reverberated into your work and what you do now in 2025?
Yeah, my background, I'm military, Army 8 years. Two words that come to mind: adapt and overcome. And when the pandemic hit, my first thought was like, all right, everybody's gonna be scared, it's gonna be kind of crazy, but I'm like, where's the opportunity? That's what I was thinking. And first thing I dove into was stocks. I learned how to do stocks. I became a day trader, and and that was something that one, I guess, keep my mind off of the craziness. But I was running the census in Reading, Pennsylvania. So I was in charge of about 6 counties. We had to count and we had this plan and how to execute step by step by step. COVID hit, so you had to scratch the plan and kind of recreate the new vision. But we had to count everybody regardless. So that's what I was doing when that hit. So activated my creativity. How am I going to bring back 60 staff members, socially distanced? How are we going to recruit personnel to be enumerators when we got social distance? So what we did was we maximized all of the golf courses within a 100-mile radius because they had just space, and we used those as like headquarters, for lack of better words, to train our personnel to give out equipment. So I was in creative mode, work wise and otherwise.
So let's get into the heart and soul of what you do on a daily basis. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of 12-year-olds. Kids pull the truth out of us, and it's career day, and a kid in the back of the room is like, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer them?
I am a stay-at-home dad, one, right? My kids are my world, so I am there. My present to them is being present. I'm married to medicine, so our dynamic lends itself well for me to do that. Now, outside of that, I am also a college professor, so I teach a course on how to be successful in college. So that takes about an hour and a half, 2 days a week. And then outside of that, I don't sleep too much, which is not a huge, great thing, but in order for me to maximize and get everything in, I'm still up on my soldier time, 4:30, 4:45, and I work on Mr. Motivation. So I'm a motivational speaker, author, and a life coach. And when I get booked and busy, I go out I call it a show because I fuse speaking, spoken word, and music in my presentations. So practice, 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 and travel when necessary. But yeah.
The best course that I took when I was in college and got my bachelor's was college reading and study skills. Dude, hands down, you got to learn how to do it because it's like there's so many things you don't know when you get in that environment and you're
Check.
just thrown into the wolves. But if you understand how to kind of approach it in a more logical manner, makes total sense, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, those basics, those fundamentals carry you into any room and you can be comfortable.
Yeah.
Like I tell a lot of my scholars, they say, Professor, I don't really know how to talk. I'm like, you communicate every day. You're trying to convince somebody to do this for you or go here. But now let's hone in on that. Let's practice. Let's be intentional. And then you can go and, negotiate a deal. You could go persuade this more effectively. So definitely great skills to have.
So, talk to me a little bit about your career trajectory from the military to speaking to
Yeah.
educating. But before we get to that, I'm curious. Take me back to the beginnings. What were these foundational elements from your life and family that were instilled in you that has become a success, that has become highly driven? How did this happen?
Yeah. Well, I go back, I start with, when I came into this world, I always say I was born with three strikes: a black boy, in poverty, and without a father. So statistically, I wasn't supposed to make it out of the hood, right, per se. I had a prayer warrior, an amazing woman for a mother who laid the foundation. She's from Barbados, she had Caribbean background, no nonsense. And I watched her just, create things out of nothing. I watch her sacrifice. I watch her paved the way to ensure me and my sister had a chance at success. So I think from her, I'm grounded in service, giving back, selfless service. And then, for me, I always say a lot of people look at their circumstance and say, I'm in this place. I can't even dream. I don't know what that looks like. But I tell you, we all get the circumstance and we have two choices. This is it or there's more. This is it. You settle, you blame everybody. But if you say there's more, you start chasing, you start dreaming. And we got to leverage our imagination. And that's the one thing I did really well. And I just took that, let that really drag me out of, whatever circumstance I was in. I talk about living a life of service. I went to college, dropped out, went to the military, really learn how to lead, learn how to become a man, how to lead others. And I took that and then just, I live Army values every day,
Yeah.
right? And I continued service in the education space where I taught at old boys middle school. And Joe, I left a really dope paying job. I was contracted in Iraq and I got an opportunity to become an educator. So I applied to, got accepted to Teach for America. I went to Delaware where I taught at old boys middle school and some of the best work. I call that heart work, not hard work. It's heart work
Yeah.
to be able to be in the classroom and pour into the lives of our future, essentially, right? And for me, I looked at that transition as it wasn't the money. It was about I wanted to be the educator I never saw when I was coming up, and I got to be that role model for my scholars. And then everything you just look at that military teaching, census, nonprofit work. I sat on nonprofit boards. Everything's driven, the common thread is like giving back, service, being a guide. And then, naturally, I'm teaching at my college level, and I'm like, you know what? I'm giving them the sauce, but there's somebody in Africa, somebody in Japan, somebody in a military base in Hawaii that needs this. How do I do that? Well, I got to create a platform to amplify my voice. And that became the beginning of the journey into Mr. Motivation. And I wanted to kind of separate from the average speaker, and that's where the spoken word came in. And I just decided to, I knew nothing about music, Joe. I'm a huge Jay-Z guy, Biggie. I just couldn't see me being on stages doing that. But when you got delusional self-confidence, Joe,
Man.
and you dream, I tell my daughter, she'll tell you, because I said you don't have to be smart or talented. Focus and effort. You can do anything.
Yep.
Daddy don't know nothing about music, but I got this vision. I'm gonna be like this rock star speaker, musician. And I'm gonna study, I'm gonna put in my 10,000 hours. I'm gonna commit to doing this thing. I don't care because people, this is what happens, people listening. Your friends talk you out of it, your family talk you out of it. Hey, Murph, you want to be a musician? You don't know about music. Today, you're right, but I'm about to lock in.
Uh-huh.
And Joe, 3, 4 years removed, my daughter, she after I performed Launch Music Fest, 20 minutes set, all music. She comes up to me, she says, Daddy, you said you were gonna do this 3 years ago, and you're doing it. Joe, priceless, right? Because you can't tell her or my son that they can't do anything because
Uh-huh.
they watch me just create what I wanted to do. And I'm encourage all our listeners and viewers, anything you want to do, write it down, dream it up, figure out who do you need to help you bring this thing to life, put them to work, and you get to work and watch it happen.
So, who has been a consistent inspirational force for you to dream and to have those dreams come to life? Who has been that for you?
Well, you know what? Always when I start some speeches, I say all that I am and all that I ever will be, I owe to my mother, right? And I just wanted her to see like her sacrifices, her hard work. It turned out like I always say on the Chinese bamboo tree. I was on her seed. You plant the Chinese bamboo tree seed and you water it for years and you don't see nothing. But you got to keep believing that you got to keep watering and that thing will eventually sprout out. 5, 6 years go by, it shoots up 8, 10 feet. And I think I'm that for her. And I think that's what, kind of drives me to what are your why? What's your reasons? I just never can go back to like how we grew up in the hood and poverty. And I think just the idea of living like that again just kept me pushing. I gotta keep going, gotta keep going. And I tell you what, it's about falling in love with failure, Joe. Like some of us run from failure, but at the end of the day, you failing gives you data points on what doesn't work. It shows you how you need to go, how you need to pivot. And then you learn from that. And I always say, I fail, I grow, I win. And that's what I've really been leaning into. But now, over the course of years, I have some virtual mentors. Man, I study Joe reading, teammate. Listen, I dive in. You see the back, it's just books.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I got books all over the house. Les Brown, huge inspiration. Earl Nightingale, Bob Proctor, Jim Rohn. So yeah, I definitely tap in.
So, what's your philosophy on balancing everything to have a healthy existence? You
Yeah.
obviously do very well with the work that you do, and you're a family man. What's your philosophy every day to wake up and to kind of find equilibrium?
Yeah, I stumbled onto this philosophy. I want to say it's Sean Well. I gotta look it up. Sometimes I'll be misquoting authors. The core four: balance being, um, body being balanced in business, body, mental and physically. How am I doing? Am I physically fit? Am I mentally tough? Right? Um, being, what's my relationship with the higher power? Right? How faith? Are you grounded in faith? Balance. What's your relationship with your spouse, your significant other, your kids? And then business. How's your business running? Now, what happens is you want to get balance across the core four because you can't have like I'm making buku bucks, $1 million in my business, but my daughter doesn't speak to me.
Yeah.
Or I can't stand my wife, but she can't stand me, but my business is booming. You want to create balance across all four. So once you acknowledge those things exist, you start pouring into those buckets equally, and you keep that balance. And that's what I've been able to do, Joe. Is it hard? Yeah, because you got to be intentional, right? You got to plan out date nights with the spouse and the kids, and set aside time for your business. It's really time management, and acknowledging these things are important.
So if you had a dream tonight, you ran into that 18-year-old version of you just getting ready to charge into the world. You could give that young version of you a piece of advice based on this life you've lived, choices you've made, wisdom you've gained. What
Yeah.
advice would you impart on that young version of you?
Yeah, well, one, read, read, read. Um, Go on a journey for self mastery. I think about financial literacy. I'll say definitely tap into that. And the last thing is surround yourself with the right people. I'll share this. I talk about this a lot when I say you got to conduct a friend and family audit. Who are the people around you? So I said there's 6 people you need on your team to elevate. There's one, the doubter. This is the person that identifies the blind spots, right? Your instigator keeps you fired up. The example, this is the person you want to be like, the person you want to make proud. The taskmaster. This person, your accountability partner. I say you need someone you check in with daily, someone you check with weekly, someone you check with monthly. Are you hitting your benchmarks? Where are you struggling at? Where do you need help at? Right? They assess where you're going on this journey. And the last two, because the journey is long and it get tiring, and you're gonna want to quit. But the cheerleader keeps you excited. They're like, Joe, that podcast is amazing, and you're like, really? You're like, yes, and it keeps you excited to go forward. And the last person, Joe, is the connector. This person gets you into rooms you can't get in on your own. So those 6 people are just, I'm sure there's more, but that core six, you need to help you go next level. So that's kind of what I would tell 18-year-old me.
So of all of these people that you've motivated throughout the years, what's the best fan letter, best response, best overall case study that you've had?
Yeah, two things come to mind. I so when I went into music, right, at first I did my first album was mostly spoken word. I did one rap. I was like, I gotta rap. And I got a note but I was still struggling. Am I a musician?
Yeah.
This took probably 3 years for me to really accept this. And I get a note from someone, I think from France, in IG. They say, listen, Mr. Motivation, your song Why saved my life. And I just wanted to share that with you. And I was just like, really? And then it hits you like, this stuff is real. This is impacting lives real time. And then I think about I used to watch like E.T. and that's Eric Thomas and Inky Johnson, and they have their little highlight reels like, dang, Tony Robbins, I got to get to this level. And I did a tour early this year, and the highlight reel, once my videographer was finished with it, I was like, oh man, this is the dream I've been chasing. Like I see me, and it's like interacting, the kids going crazy, and it's like this is what it's about. But see, Joe, here's the thing, because you're the first person to get the vision. You're the only one to see it, the first person to believe it. But I had the vision, and it's like trying to convince people, this is what I want. I got to do music, music and speaking, yes, and they don't understand it till they see it. And I say it's all about being grounded in faith, Joe. Seeing the invisible and believing the impossible.
So as a music man, what was the first concert that you saw? that blew you away, that motivated you and made you think, I want to do that? I want to be up there.
The first one, man. So I was never really a big concert goer. I like so. I mean, let me tell you this. Huge fan of Jay-Z. I think like when he said, "I paint pictures with poems," and like his wordplay, loved it as well as Biggie. But I saw LL in concert. I was at Binghamton University, and I seen LL. And it's one thing to get up and speak. But when you get up and do music, you gotta really bring it. You gotta convince this audience member to move with you, right? And be excited. I like that.
Yeah.
And I had always wanted to, but I just never seen the journey, the steps there. I'm like, I'm so far along. I'm not right no rapper. But the reality is, Joe, I've always been really good with the pen, poetry. You talk to girls I've dated, I'll be sending them poems and sweet nothings. Wifey reminds me how I used to send her poems. It's like, really? Yeah, you're right. And then you just start doing it. But yeah, I think the LL concert and then just inspired by how Jay uses words to kind of paint pictures.
It's interesting you mentioned going into education. You could have had a better paying job, but you wanted to go into
Mhm.
education. I hit that crossroads in my life. I got out of corporate America and I worked for the United Way. I got into nonprofit. I just had to do something for my soul. So I started running computer labs for the YMCA and two labs in inner city areas of Kansas City. And my
Mm,
partner used to be a football player in Oklahoma, and everybody thought he looked like LL Cool J. So he was LL Cool J, and I was the dude that did technology. I ran the labs. We had a pretty good program. It was a teen program, and those
uh-huh.
kids had an outlet, and it grew and it got big. But man, that was work that to
Mm,
this day is one of the best jobs I ever had.
mm,
You know,
absolutely. I definitely back that.
it's
Yeah.
good. So let me ask you this. Of everything that you've accomplished and evolved into at this point in your life, what are you the proudest of?
Oh man, fatherhood,
Yeah.
fatherhood. So as I mentioned, my father was murdered. My mother had me in the hospital. He went to the house, the apartment, cleared out the fridge, and rolled out. And I never knew him. And I met him twice in the street from a distance. And one time he came up to me, "Hey son, next week I'm gonna get you some sneakers." Next week comes, he was murdered. So growing up, I was like, I ain't never gonna have kids. That was my whole thing, right? And then, wifey's like big family oriented female, and I'm like, she wanted three. I'm like, three, But what it was, Joe, I was scared because I didn't know what father, how to father.
Yeah.
I always say how do you become a dope dad if you never seen a dope dad? What I found the answer. I dreamt it up, Joe. I dreamt what I wish I had and 10x that, right?
Yeah.
So I had my daughter first. Man, that was my girl. Dudes like, I want a son. No, my daughter, that's my girl. And then I had my son, and for me, man, it's just every day is a gift, to be able to pour into them. I mean, they recite everything I'm doing, everything I'm saying. They keep me on point. My daughter, she knows my music before I have it fully memorized, and just two of the biggest fans of mine. And for me, it's just an honor to lead them. I lead soldiers, I lead teams, but to lead my kids, unmatched,
That's
top
it.
top tier.
So at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you. You have all these pockets of people, family, friends, everyone that sees you speak, everybody in the military, everyone around you. But you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I'm a guide, Joe. I'm a guide. Anyone knows any situation I go into, whether someone's working for me, I'm joining a team, I lead with how can I help you? You know what I'm saying? I always lead what little things. I could have just met you, Joe. I'm like, hey, Joe, listen, go to my LinkedIn. Anybody, I got about 4,000 people on there. I'll connect you. I'll facilitate that. I think just for my life being here, it's to help people go next level. Because here's what happens, Joe. Some people don't get someone to tap in to help them. Um, I think about my service members, my vets. Some we got what 20, 23, 21, 23 dying a day. You know what I mean? Someone's missing someone tapping in. Someone's missing someone checking in. And for me, I do my part in society to help people go next level. Because a lot of times people don't even know the gifts they have inside. Someone like me, I say I unearthed that. I'm like, no, Joe, listen, you're a great orator. And I don't like to speak. Now you got that energy, Joe. I need you, and then I try to start giving them examples of how they could do and how they could be better and things they could do to get better. So all in all, I'm a guide.
I dig it. So if anyone wants to delve in and see you speak, your music, any of the good work you're doing, where's the best place to go?
Yeah, so www.mister-motivation.com. Motivation Music, I'm Mr. Motivation on Spotify, Apple, and IG. Mr. Motivation, MISTER, Motivation. The O's are zeros for zero excuses, Joe.
I love it. I'm going to put all this in the show notes.
Yeah,
This has been wonderful, man. Thank you for your energy, your story. What a great one, man. I
I
appreciate it.
appreciate you.
Yes,
Thanks,
sir.
Joe.
Thank you. Looking to get new clients to your business through cold calling or email marketing? At Agency Y, they envision a world in which small and big companies have equal chances to win new customers in the market. Their purpose is to bring parity and reduce the gap between large and small firms with the help of their cold calling and cold email marketing services. Use the code JoeDomino10 at www.agencyyy.org/coldcallingjoe.php or www.agencyyy.org/emailmarketingjoe.php to get 10% off your first order. This is Joe Domino of Neon Jazz and Famous Interviews, and I stand behind Agency Y to meet your business dreams.